morning.
Yeah. For those of us who don't know, Core Software and Systems is a software development company based here in Lagos. But we've actually been in business since 1999, back there in the United States of America. But we're reincorporated rather, in 2008 here in Nigeria. We provide web-based solutions that focus on data management and data monetization. Core Software and Systems is purely owned by, it's a wholly Nigerian-owned company, and our MD, who happens to be the moderator of today's event, is Mr. Uche Ondiwe. Now, the topic we have today for discussion is promises to be a very informative session. And we're going to be talking about SMS spamming, addressing the challenges around it. But before we go into the discussions proper, or even meet the panel members, allow me to give you a brief introduction into the topic. SMS spamming is the act of sending SMS spam, okay? What then is SMS spam? SMS spam can be described as any message that is any unwanted or unsolicited message sent to the recipient or a mobile phone subscriber, if you will. Now, there are other forms of spam. You have the email version, you have the link version where they send you a link to click and all of that. But today our focus is on SMS spam. Now, the main reason, or one of the reasons why this practice is so rampant, is because SMS spam is used as marketing strategy for commercial purposes. So where you have a new product or a new service that you're trying to introduce, and you're looking at the easiest way to get your message out there without spending a lot of money, then it's the best option, to you, might just be sending out bulk messages. Now, because these messages are unwanted and unsolicited, it can be a tad bit frustrating for the mobile phone subscriber when they keep receiving these messages. And so today our discussion is going to be centered around all the steps that the mobile phone subscriber can follow to ensure that they don't get this SMS spam, and also be looking at another angle, what the mobile phone operators can do to protect their consumers. Okay, so next slide, please. It's interesting to note that in 2019, Truecaller carried out a survey where they shared the top 20 countries that have the highest rate of SMS spam in the world. But at least now we know that with this survey, SMS spam is something that really exists and is something that is happening. It's not a myth. Up on that list was Brazil, and Nigeria ranked about 18th on that list, and bringing in the rear was Egypt. This is an ongoing practice, and some may argue that it is, since it's for commercial purposes, it's a good marketing strategy. But on the operator side, it's an industry menace. So we're trying to find, I guess the purpose of this discussion today is to decide for ourselves, or to find out if there's a balance that can be struck between the operators and those that consider SMS spamming as a good marketing strategy. So without wasting any more of your time, I think we'll get into the discussions proper. But before we do that, allow me to introduce to you the panel members and the moderator for the event. Like I mentioned before, our MD, Mr. Uche Ondiwe, is the moderator of this event. Sir, would you like to say hello?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here again today.
Okay, then thank you so much, sir. Other members of the panel that will be giving their own opinions, their own insights into this topic today are Virtue Chukwuemeka. He is the head of products at Core Software and Systems. Virtue, would you like to say hello?
Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, Virtue.
Yeah.
Thank you. And with Virtue is Mr. Stephen Welle. He's also a product manager at Core Software and Systems. Stephen, please say hello to the audience.
Hello. Good morning now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then we have Mr. Aziz Razak. He is the data security and risk assessment consultant at DigiCare. He will also be sharing his insights and his opinion on this very informative and insightful topic. Mr. Razak, do you want to meet the audience? Say hello.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. And then the last member of the panel, Ms. Moturayo Adewoye, is the head of marketing at iCell. Together, Moturayo, please say hello to the audience.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here.
Sorry, Moturayo, we didn't really hear you. Hello, Moturayo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. Now, together, these four panel members are going to provide us with their different views, and they are going to make this make a case or not for SMS spamming. So without wasting any more of your time, let me hand over to the moderator for this event. Mr. Ondiwe, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much, Onome, for the intro. Welcome, everybody, all those of you who have taken out of your time today, rather, to join us on this call. We have a few questions that we want to look at. Spam is something that has been around with us for a while. These are some questions that we were able to gather from different clients and attendees of various programs. And we wanted to actually go through as many of these as possible. And we'll do it like in a round robin type of format, whereby we can ask the questions and then each of our panelists can either jump in or take a crack at responding or giving us their input. Our panelists that we brought in are from different sectors of the telecom industry. For Core, we come in as a platform provider. For our partners, DigiCare, they come in as a VAS provider, and then for Ms. Moturaya from iCell comes in as an aggregator, all parts of the communication delivery sector. So the first question that we want to ask to the panel members, and Moturaya, we'll start with you since you're one of the, well, actually we'll start with Mr. Razak, since from his side as the VAS provider, they are usually considered as the main culprit, so to say. But we want to get a better perspective. Is SMS spam really a problem in the telecom industry? Mr. Razak, can you give us your input on that, please?
All right. Thank you very much, Uche. So looking at the telco industry, because they provide the communication channel for SMS. And because SMS spam is in a way a privacy issue on the side of the customer. So it's like some customer are trying to infringe on the privacy rights of some other customer. So because there are some level of overhead cost for the telco, for the telecom industry, or for the telco operator, for example, so it's really a concern, and it can really lead to a serious legal issue. So it should be a thing of concern for the telco operator. One, for legal issues, and also because there's an overhead that the telco is bearing. And also, it's a kind of privacy issue. And we have the NDPR, which the NITDA is facilitating. So it can really become a data privacy issue. So the telco operator should really worry about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Matroya, your input, please.
Okay, yeah. Just to say that apart from the buttressing Razak's point, apart from the legal side of it and all of that, it affects the telecom industry because it's a legitimate sector, right? The telecom industry is a legitimate sector, and a lot of people are doing SMS spamming for malicious reasons. And so, because they are doing it for those malicious reasons, some financial reasons, and all of that, it affects the authenticity of the telecom industry. So, those that are actually doing it to, for ends meet, for information, for advertisements, for things that really make sense through the operator, the bulk SMS guys going through the enterprise side of the operator, they affect the legitimacy of their work and the authenticity of their work. So it's really, really important, for the telecom industry, and SMS spamming affects the telecom industry greatly. So thank you.
All right, Stephen or Virtue, sorry. Either one of you can you also give us some inputs? Stephen, you want to take a first crack at it?
Yes, thank you very much, sir. The thing is, from the user perspective, being a product manager, it's always a thing of concern to understand the mind of users and then make sure you give a product actually that goes to the satisfaction of the user. And I must say from that perspective that it's actually a problem in industry. The industry players should be concerned about it because their consumers or consumers of their products are not actually happy, and because it's a thing that brings such a high level of unsatisfaction on the side of the users, then it should be considered a very big problem in the industry. Thank you.
Okay. Virtue.
All right, just to add to what every panel member has said, I'll look at it from being a platform provider, offering platforms to, service providers, and we're looking to offer to aggregators. So it's really something of huge concern because these are customers that we serve. When their customers and their consumers are victims of SMS spam, like Motera said, it actually affects the authenticity of what we do. And then also with that, the customer doesn't have enough trust to even continue with such services, which in turn is going to affect the revenue that is being generated either by the service provider or the aggregator. So it also affects the revenue that comes into our customers as a platform provider. So it's really a very important issue that needs to be tackled in addition to what every panel member has said. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So from what I'm hearing, everybody's saying that that spam is actually a problem in the telecom industry, that we're having issues with privacy as far as the information that's going out, and then the additional overhead and authenticity of the services that are being offered. But let me add this little twist. Does spam actually threaten the profits of service providers? And if so, how? Because along with, I'm assuming that those who are performing the spam or sending out the spam, that they're paying for the services. If not, how would it go out on the various platforms? So my question is, does spamming threaten the profits of service providers? If you guys are saying it's a bad thing and it should be stopped, wouldn't that also threaten the profits of service providers? And we can start with Virtue, if you can start, and then we'll go back as well to the others.
Okay, just like I said earlier, so I think one of the ways it affects the profit. So, for instance, I'm a user and I get spam messages. So, what happens if I notice I'm getting spam messages from a certain, service or from a particular service provider? I can choose to block any type of service that comes in. So, I could choose to, because I know we have DND, so I could choose to block any type of message coming from this industry. I'm no longer interested due to the spam messages I've been getting. So that is going to actually stop profits or profits that the service providers could have gotten, if I was satisfied with that particular industry. So this is one of the ways it affects the profit. So you have even people that are sending some service providers that have legitimate services that they would like the consumer to actually subscribe to, but because the consumer is not satisfied, the consumer is going to block that industry and that service. The service provider can no longer earn money from that particular consumer. So this is one of the ways it actually affects their profits.
Okay, understood. Mr. Razak, go ahead.
In furtherance to that, virtue, you know that now we have the mobile number portability, which is a thing in the telephone industry. And truth be told, the four operators or the operators we have in Nigeria, they don't have the same level of security on their network. Their technology is not the same. Their network is not the same. So chances are spam are more frequent with some operators than the other. So if I'm a subscriber and I notice that I get more spam from a particular telco provider, I can, and if I'm a well-informed subscriber, I can just port to another provider, having done my research, and thereby it's a long-term effect, but it might lead to the operator losing some customers actually.
Very interesting. Okay, so it's not the direct spam. So even if the spam provider is paying, there are consequences to other people who are using similar services. So Mr. Moturaya, can you please also give us your input regarding if spam threatens profits and what you think about it?
I'll come from the aspect of share of mind. For every business that we have in this world, telecoms, commercial, whatever it is the share of mind. And as it is right now, the end users that we look to, I'm talking in terms of the vast aggregator and vast service, vast providers. For our own customer are the general end users. And if in their share of mind they see us as threats, so that's definitely loss of revenue already. And what this spam guys, scammers, and all of that have done is that they've gotten to the point where our end users see every message that comes as robbery, as they want to rob them. Even when you have value to deliver, they don't see it as that. People lose revenue in the industry right now because as of now there are so many rules that have been generated by the NCC because of the fact that end users are complaining, and in turn gives reduction in revenue. Let me give an instance. Before it used to be single opt-in, and a lot of people abused it, and then now it's double opt-in. And apart from that, now there's also something called auto renewal, which we used to do on a monthly basis before. Now it's every 6 months, which definitely after 6 months, whatever revenue you've been able to accumulate for whatever end users you've been able to accumulate for the next 6 months, after 6 months they go. That is a huge loss, a huge churn. A normal thing that we see before is a natural churn in the industry where people go at a certain time. But now we are forced to, delete these people from the system by the end of 6 months, which is great. That's the greatest loss of revenue that has been in the industry. And it affected a lot of people, and people start, a lot of organizations start their staffs, and eventually you see that maybe after the end of 6 months, it's only your own staff alone that subscribe to the service that you've used millions of naira to do promotion for. Some do digital promotion and all of that. At the end of 6 months, you lose this because people are not, because they don't want the services. People forget sometimes to renew. Even I, that I'm in the industry, sometimes if I want to renew something, I'll be like, okay, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. But because, I might have forgotten, I'm not able to, renew again. So this gives a lot of churn in subscriber, which leads to loss of revenue. Thank you.
Okay, so from what I'm getting, what everyone is pretty much saying is that the spam itself, even though they are paying for the SMSs that are going out that are being considered spam, the consequences of those spam is that others who are doing legitimate business are losing out on their business, either by the policies that the regulator is putting in place or the confusion or distrust that is being built up with the subscriber base because of all the spam that they receive. They now don't take any regular message that may have value as seriously, and they don't sign up. So there's a lot of consequences or business loss because of this spam that has started. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, absolutely.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, so that seems like a very expensive thing. So, but is the telecom industry the only industry that has spam? I mean, what other types of spam do you guys think exist? And I know we're focused on the telecom industry, but let's look at other people, and then maybe we even consider how do they address their spam, and then how are we in the telecom industry going to address our own version of spam?
I think to reduce the level of complexity of this discussion, because the space which you are about to step into is a very large one. Yeah. That means you're talking about phishing, spear phishing, spoofing, and some other forms of, cybersecurity related issues. But
Well,
to
well,
narrow,
Mr.
to narrow,
Razak, I like to say that it's all the same. Spamming is spamming. Whether it's phishing, whether it's baiting, this is what is actually happening in the industry and outside the industry.
yeah,
People try to lure other people to get them to put their MSISDN, or people try to, take, will give you tend to win something to get, there are deceits. Imagine that.
exactly.
Let me give you an example. We had an issue when I was working in Huawei. We had an issue with a top management that came from South Africa to just to spend a few days, right? And this person came, and after a day, they started complaining that they are receiving Game Plus. I don't know if any one of us remember that service. The
Mhm.
Game Plus service is an app service, and I said they were receiving adverts on Game Plus, and she said she did not subscribe to Game Plus. She doesn't know how she got there. By the time we checked, Huawei was using a particular partner for their digital marketing, right? What these guys did was they captured um, the click to subscribe link. They embedded it behind a particular advert, right? So she must have gone to click that advert for, it might be advert of bags, porn,
So
any
so
kind of
so
thing.
which which
So
which
she must
led
have
to
clicked, exactly.
which
She must
led
have
to the
clicked
exact
that.
question he is asking, and which actually I was about to address. You see,
Okay.
spamming is just a fractional part of phishing. Phishing is like a pool, and spamming is just like a drop in the pool. And talking about what types of spamming, you just mentioned one. The type you just spoke about is called PRF, and that's payment rate fraud, whereby you get some kind of message, there is a link in that message, and you click on that link, it's intended to get your personal information. So there are other types of phishing actually. The one that is most common is the unsolicited message, which is called the UM. So, but you get an unsolicited message from a source who must have gotten your number from somewhere. And the second one is the one you just mentioned, which is the PRF. But you know that spam in general is either a spam call or a spam SMS. So under the PRF, you still have another category of spam call, which is called the Wangiri. So Wangiri is like you get a phone call from an international number. Wangiri spells Wangri. And once you get a missed call and you tend to call that number back, you are subscribed to a kind of service that keeps deducting your money. And that boils down to how the service providers, how the telcos tend to lose revenue. Because if I notice that my credit keeps reducing from a service provider, I go to the store, I call customer care, I complain, and nothing stops, then eventually I bust it. And that's because I've been automatically subscribed into a spam call called Wangiri. So those are the various, like in this part of the world, those are the types you see. In other parts of the world, there are other types of spamming that you see around there.
Thank you very much.
All right, just to add, talking about the types of spam. So we also know the common one. Another common one is the email spam. So you get that one. It's kind of common for us. Most of us get email spams, emails that we didn't subscribe to. So that is also a part of spam. You also have blog spam. You have social spam. You have spam in your social, when you use social networks, the Twitter messages, WhatsApp and all of that. So it's really a broad topic. Spamming, translates different sectors and different industries. So it's really a huge thing.
Okay, so I'll take the tip, I'll take the advice, and we won't go into all the other sectors. We'll focus on the SMS and telecom related ones. Razak, I definitely hear you on the different types of spam, the Wangiri and all the other types that you mentioned as well, because they are things that the industry has been battling with for a while in both the voice and the SMS related sectors. So what I would ask now is, are there any measures that you guys know of, or what measures are your companies putting in place to avoid spam? Unfortunately, the vast providers are usually blamed for it. Now that the aggregators have come into play, they will probably take some of the blame for that kind of for the spam, especially towards the telcos. But there has to be some kind of measure being put in place to avoid the spam, or to avoid the fraud that is perpetrated by a spam. So what types of measures do you guys know of, or are your companies putting in place to prevent it, so that way your customers benefit more from using your service?
Okay, well, it's hard because for every time there's something put in place, there are more things coming up. I'm trying to stick to the telecoms part. I think while I was talking the other time, I've mentioned some of the measures that NCC tried to put in place. Where I used to work in an organization where we have something called SAT push, and that was supposed to be the best. It generated the highest, return in the industry at the time. But for every time we put something in place, double opt-in, we confirm true, you type in something yourself instead of saying yes or okay. These are some of the measures that they've put in place over time. Okay, so instead of just clicking yes, you have to type in yes. You type in like 3 words, or you don't send a message to someone once it's after 8 o'clock, or sometimes the platform that you have cannot even carry that, because once you send a message out, maybe you don't want to exceed the 8 o'clock, like you send it out at 8 a.m. and you don't want it to exceed the 8 p.m. Maybe you don't have enough TPS. See, the truth of the matter is we keep trying. Okay, some of the measures that I have mentioned, number one is the end user has to be able to accept the service twice, not once. Then number two, you cannot, as an aggregator, what has been passed down to us that we will pass down to the SPs, I think, which has been from time also, is that you can send messages after 8 p.m. To end users. What are the things, but unfortunately we put these things in place, but they still find a way. There are back end ways that they still, I'm not technically inclined, but there are back end ways that this spamming things happen within the industry. Unfortunately, these people are even still part of us within the industry. I'm sorry, but these people are still part of us in the industry and spoil business for those of us that are genuinely trying to make ends meet. Razak, I know you can buttress my points with
He's smiling a lot. He's smiling a lot, so I think he has some answers for us.
See, let me help you. It's like a police criminal scenario. And that applies to everything in security. You agree with me that spamming is also a kind of security breach. So every time you try to put something in place, you're only telling them to find another way of breaching you. So currently in Nigeria, I'll tell you that there are no comprehensive measure. And it's not just Nigeria. If you look at the report from Truecaller, you see that Nigeria is number 18. That means that there are 17 other countries in the world. And these are countries that we are going to say that they are better than Nigeria in our own view. So if they don't, if countries like USA, the countries like Canada, China, they don't have an effective measure to control spam, then it's a global issue. So what Nigeria has been doing is in terms of guidelines and legislations. And those guidelines and regulations are not directly impacted, are not directly on spamming, but they are directed to activities that indirectly affect spamming. For example, there's guideline on advertisements and promotion. There's an act on a competition practices regulation, which was done in 2007. There's customer code of practice regulation. There's guide on short code operations in Nigeria. All those guidelines, they now indirectly affect spamming, because if you violate the guideline of advertisement and promotion, it means that you're going to be sanctioned for that. And that is the aim of most spamming, because they want to advertise something to you. So that's one way that
And
Nigeria has
also,
been
Razak, I also like to add that I would like to commend NCC to a large extent with what
Yeah,
they've
they've done a good job.
They keep educating the end users in terms of, okay, so in case you see something like this and you don't like it, or it's becoming too frequent, you can report. I think there are short codes that you can send messages to. There are phone numbers that you can call, and they keep sending these messages directly, even on to end users. They just randomly send you message in case you feel you are being spammed, or you are receiving a message from so. Send a code, a message to a code, which I think is good. They are spending millions of naira in educating Nigerians on end users on how to report these things or how to come out. The DND list keeps going on and on. When you get the list every morning, you are wondering, okay, what is left for us to make money from? People keep adding their numbers to DND, and so
DND.
they are educating end users also. So end users are more aware. So even for services that have value directly to end users, so you are entering into the service commitment with your head. You know that this
Exactly.
is what I'm entering into. So
There's the twist to that is the fact that we are considering SMS spamming as only coming from SMS. What about flash messages? So if I get spamming and it's a flash
not just
message,
from SMS. No, flash messages are part of it.
and that's more difficult.
Push are part of it. Start push as part of that's class 0 messages, class 1 messages, class 2 messages. They are all, see, NCC are now aware that it's not just SMS. They know that there are class 0 messages, class 1 messages, and class 2 messages, which flash message and start push are part of. So they are encompassing everything together. So once you receive, and the funny thing is, all these end users now are there. Once they see anything, sometimes it might not even be SMS. They go straight to NCC, screen grab the thing, and send it to them. Unfortunately, flash messages and class 0 messages, that's the start push message, they cannot be recorded. It's only SMS that can be recorded, so you can snap it and
As
send
far as
to
proof, yeah.
But flash messages and start push messages, which are class 0 and class 2 messages, cannot be recorded. So once it's gone, it's gone.
It's
You
gone.
don't have proof. So except you can easily, quickly just grab it and send it. So really, like Razak said, there's no end to it. Really, there's no end to it.
So do we just give up and just allow them to continue? It's just saying there's no end to it, and there's so many different types.
We keep
Do we
trying
just?
the measures.
So
We keep
more
trying the
things can
measures.
be
We keep
done on the
educating.
side of
Or-
legislation, legal actions, and regulations.
Exactly.
Why we are trying to understand the intricacies and how SMS spamming is changing, and we're putting technical measures in place. But something just came to mind now, and I think I should bring it up. SMSs are sent on the telco side through the SMS center, the SMNC. So there's actually an aggregator service in the middle called the SMS center. And so that SMS center controls what SMS comes in and comes out. So if I'm sending an SMS to Motorayo, for example, it goes to the SMNC, then from there it goes to Motorayo. So if telco really, really want to do this and really want to deal with spamming, that is the place to start on the technical side, why NCC is taking up things on the legal and regulatory side.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you for the info. I kind of allowed us. Yeah, sorry, Virtue, give 1 second. If I can let Stephen had his hand up for a second, then you can quickly jump in.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So Stephen, you had some input a few seconds ago.
Yes, I know
I think we're having some
of
bandwidth issues.
the Truecaller report countries already having. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, okay. Still here. Virtue, can you go ahead and respond?
I'm actually trying to talk.
Stevie, you're mute. You're mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so Razak's reference to the Truecaller's reports, where he talked about the advanced countries even being ahead and yet still having issues with this SMS spamming. I want us to, looking at Nigeria's number or position, see it as something we should even have hope of even handling, because it could be as a result of our level of technical know-how, talking about for the subscribers who may not have much of information as per how to handle issues about reporting or blacklisting some of these services. So it's for us a way of looking at the industry and then look to see how we can handle the measures, the issues around it, because we can even see that, yes, in the position we may be 18 or 17 or thereabout, but it could be as a result of how we have been able to handle it, or the other way around, the consumer's lack of knowledge as to how to report these issues. Thank you.
Okay, understood. Virtue, your input, please.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about is mostly on the consumer awareness. So I get more effort should also come in there. The more users are aware, of the spam messages and what they can do, the better it also becomes for the other stakeholders in the industry. So if you just learn that, okay, when you get spam messages and you have a link that you don't trust, don't click on it. So when you get messages that you never subscribe to, don't act on it, just leave it. Rather report, reports to the regulators about it. So I get more effort should be put into consumer awareness of all the spam and how they can actually handle it when they receive such messages. That's just the input.
Okay, very good. So in essence, what we're saying is there's no one answer to resolving this spam issue. There are multiple angles to it. There's a technical angle from the telco, especially who's the last point of connection to the subscriber, as far as trying to handle the spam from their SMSC. There's the regulator side, or the NCC, informing subscribers. There's the informational side as well, of informing consumers and making them better informed on how to manage spam, what to click on and what not to click on. So all these are very good measures on how to reduce the effects of spam to the consumers.
From that report, Truecaller is saying that 85% of the spammers are telco operators. That's what Truecaller is telling us. And if you are saying that telco operators should put technical measures in place and they form the bulk of the spammers, do you think we are ever going to have the technical measures, or we should just focus on the legal and the regulatory measures?
We're all in the same industry and we're all eating from the same tree. So we also have to kind of manage how the discussions go. But in all reality, that's also part of why I was asking, as far as the profitability, how does it affect? Because in essence, back when the IT industry started, right, there was always the claim that all these antivirus service solution providers, McAfee, AVG, all the rest of them, that the reason why they ended up being so profitable is that they were the ones also generating the viruses for your machines. Because once they generate the virus and release it, then you have to now buy a virus protection solution. So there could be that fear that, okay, if the telcos, or if, and maybe not the telcos directly, but maybe if a sabotage of their infrastructure or their facilities had taken place and people were using that to now distribute spam, how should they now look back at resolving that spam issue? So you're right. If they are not able to yet address fully the spamming issue that's coming from within on the technical part, even though they've put in firewalls or spam filters and things of that nature, then we do need to look at the other areas as well of addressing spam, which is having a more informed subscriber base, the DND solution that the regulator has put in place, and then maybe even a more advanced version of DND, because I think Virtue had mentioned that, or what's right, that unfortunately, once someone selects a category, everybody within that category loses. So you may not have been the one who spammed an individual for under sports category, but because that person has now blocked spam, blocked sports, everybody else who is trying to offer a sports service to that individual now cannot offer those services because the whole industry has been blocked. So maybe a more advanced version of DND should be offered, whereby you can pick to block a particular shortcode or a particular company or a particular person.
And
that
more
way,
more granular type.
Exactly, a much more granular version of DND should be put in place.
NCC are still learning what way to go. They are not so certain on how to address this themselves. So we are still the same people as some of us we know have a relationship with NCC. We are still the ones that will educate them on how to go about it. Just like the aggregator, NCC doesn't really know much. So it's still we, the licensees, and those of us in this industry that will still go back and educate them. Okay, this is what we think, this is what we think, and maybe they ask their consultants and all of that. Eventually they put it in place, because they really, whatever it is that has been put in place also is from the industry. It's from partners that within the industry that are giving them these ideas, and so
Okay, so and with that comment I made, we had kind of jumped into one of the other questions. In what ways can the current consumer protection laws help in controlling SMS spam? So are there any other ways that the consumer protection laws can help in controlling SMS spam besides what the NCC has put in place as far as DND, as far as the restrictions on the time that you can send out SMS? Are there any other things that can be done to help control spam? And I'll leave it open to the whole panel, anyone who wants to jump in.
I would like to say that I think Razak said something about that already on the consumer protection, and they just keep bringing laws and laws. But imagine I can be in the United States and I can be sending the message through whether the bulk SMS, or there are some bulk SMS that you don't have to go to MTN yourself. And then you go to through a third party, maybe Flutterwave to and then eventually I still say, so who do you really want to hold responsible?
Hold responsible.
That's the Data Protection Act. Like we said, we know this is an issue that we all know that it's an issue, and for the solution maybe to come tomorrow, maybe. But as of today, there's really nothing much we can do.
Because
So
each
today,
time the regulatory is trying to learn the nature of the problem, then the problem changes direction. And so, like Mutrayo rightly said, so who do you really want to catch? We were talking about the real SMS, and here comes the issue of the class 0 message, class 2 message, and the nature changes. So it's difficult. It's difficult. It's we in the industry actually that really need to put to support NCC to ensure that those regulations are written and they are really made effective, because of course the Nigerian factor is still there. It's one thing you have the regulation, and it's another thing that you are implementing the regulation across board, or you have your own favorites that the regulations don't apply to. There are a lot of complications. You just need to keep
and just
adapting
to
to them.
say, look at the example that I gave about Huawei trying to do a digital promotion, and the guys that they gave were imagine embedding Game Plus under porn. The person that wants to go and watch porn clicks porn and is seeing Game Plus. The person that wants to buy a handbag is clicking handbag and is seeing Game Plus. So how do you really want to control those kind of people? They are not even Nigerians. So how does the Data Protection Act in Nigeria want to hold those ones? How does NCC want to hold those people doing digital promotion? I want to go to Instagram, and they've captured my data and everything. So everywhere I go, I'm seeing promotion of sports games and all of that. Do you understand what I mean? So it's really hard to that's why this report done, it's giving me hope that okay, it's not only Nigeria that is backward. If countries like that are still having issues about this, so that means it's really an issue that we don't, as of today. That's what I'm saying today. I don't know what will happen tomorrow, a technology that can come tomorrow and is able to capture all of these guys in their rooms or wherever they are and they are doing this. But as of today, it's really hard to,
Stop. Okay, so let me put this out there real quick as well. If for all those who are watching this webinar, if you have any questions or comments, please put it into the chat or into the question box, and we'll try to read them out. We have a comment from a telco participant who joined us, and they are mentioning that they know these things about, some of the things that have been talked about. They know the things about things, and sometimes we see them fly. Now, tweaking the SMSC and adding restrictions is an awesome idea, and they know that, but they can't afford to lose the good guys as well as the bad guys just because they are trying to catch the bad guys. You understand? So they're, in essence, they are saying that by putting in some of these tweaks, it's going to affect some of the good guys just as well as the bad guys. And to them, their suggestion is to educate the end users and get them more aware of those threats. Because in essence, the spam is going to happen. We've talked about it being a cat and mouse game, a police and robbers game. Every time the police advance or improve their equipment or technology, the robbers will, of course, improve theirs because they still want to get what they want to get. So every time we put in technology to address spam, those who are trying to send the spam will improve the version of the spam. Before, way back when, spam used to be what they used to call junk mail. You receive a lot of physical mail, for like magazines, for shops and different things that you didn't ask for. So that was the version of spam. Then we moved to electronic, moved to email, and you now started getting junk mail. So as we advance technology, those who are trying to address their own needs, whether it's legal or illegal, whether it is something you asked for or something you didn't ask for, they also try to advance theirs. So we always have to look at, okay, how do we educate our subscriber base? How do we escape our client base? And then how do we educate them, rather, our subscriber and client base? And then how do we still address the technical issues that those things are causing? So I want to also ask another question. We made a suggestion to the service providers on how to reduce their spam. We made a suggestion to the consumers on how to reduce their spam. We've also made suggestions to the regulator on different things they can do. What else do we think is left? Is it to change the technology? Is it to restrict the technology, or is it to open it up even more? Is it a price-related change that will help? Is it a technology-related change that will help? What do you guys think that will help to kind of improve this overall?
I actually appreciate the comment from Obim, and also how he ended the entire conversation. And I think I want to suggest, Uche, that there should be a takeout for you from the whole of this. So I'm happy that telcos are aware of the SMSC tweaking and the whole of things we're talking about. So getting the user more aware is really where more work needs to be done. So there needs to be more of user awareness. Things like you don't reply to any spam SMS, you don't treat, because some spam are actually sent to even check your liveness. Are you there? Is this number active? Is this email active? And the moment you reply stop, then you are telling them that, okay, I'm here, I'm active, and they can keep you there for life. So you don't repeat, a lot of awareness needs to go out. You don't reply, how you treat a spam message, or what you do when you get a spam message. So those are the things. Thank you, Obi. It's a very wonderful suggestion.
Yep. So right. Virtue. Yeah.
Okay, so one area I want to look at that I guess is in the technology aspect, actually has to do with the way DND is being structured. So generally in the industry, now the way DND gets, you block a certain industry. I think one other way what we should do is to go further instead of making it that every block, if you want to block a certain, because of the messages you're getting, you block a certain industry. We should create the granular category where someone could block you. You won't just block an industry, you can block a particular service or a particular service provider. So if you know that you're getting spam messages from a certain service provider or a particular service, you can just block that particular service or that service provider. That also gives you the opportunity to benefit from other service providers in that particular industry. So one thing I think the telcos or the regulators should look at in terms of technology is to make DND, bring it down to the granular level, where subscribers can subscribe to DND just on a particular, can block or block a certain service provider or a certain service that he or she notices he or she is getting unsolicited messages from. So that's one part in technology.
Okay. Stephen, do you have some input as well?
Yes, I would like to point out something very clearly. These messages that are sent out go with a sender ID. The telcos know that sender IDs are actually registered. And then the other way around too, there are two types of SMS. In fact, from what I have come to see, most of these spam messages are actually there to promote services. They are not like services that are already subscribed to. So if I have my consent, if I've given a consent, so I can't really see a service that I've actually subscribed to be a spam message, So, but these spam messages are actually promotional kinds of services. So the industry needs to look into how sender ID is actually managed. If there are messages or maybe sender IDs that are there registered already, those who have actually registered these sender IDs, are they actually sticking to their reasons for sending out these promotions? And then is the system or the technology able to fish out whose IP is used to send a message, for instance, to maybe that's from the service provider to the aggregator, and then to allow that actually to get to the telco who has to forward same to or the same message after filtering, to the consumer. So sender ID parts of the system in the industry needs to be looked into. There has to be a proper way of identifying who is sending a message. If we're talking about consumers not actually responding to the messages, let's also understand that the havoc would have actually been caused. The consumer is already not satisfied by way of receiving the message in the first place. So it's not really about his action, but yes, the message has actually been, received. So if there is a way of preventing some of the messages as much as possible, in an intelligent manner, so the good ones are not also affected, it should be the algorithm we should be considering. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So these are two options we're looking at: the more granular DND and the sender ID verification, in essence, is what you're talking about as well. We also have a question from Mr. Arun. Arun, you can let me know, please, if I should mention your organization, but he's also from one of the telcos. And he asks, are there any apps to stop spam? Are they free and are they effective?
I think there are many apps. If you go on Google, you see a lot of suggestions of apps or something. I don't know. Some may be free, but the moment you enter into the app, there will be in-app purchase of one thing or the other. Everybody is out to monetize one thing or the other. I don't think there's anything free when it comes to telecoms or technology anymore in Nigeria. Google Photos didn't used to be attached to money. It used to be free, but the moment iPhone came and there's cloud, they too started giving you limits to what you before. Google, you can save unlimited pictures. Now they are monetizing it too. So for apps, I don't think there's any app. It might be free, of course. That's one of the baiting types of spam.
Yeah, exactly.
They make you come in. The moment you enter, there's in-app purchase before you get exactly what you even want. They're already asking you for, you get free trial of 7 days. After 7 days, you pay something. So
Okay,
I don't think there's
I think it's a trade-off. So you either pay for the app and reduce your spam drastically, or you live with the inconvenience of not paying, like getting those spam.
So Razak, look at it. We are talking about SMS spamming. How many percentage of Nigerians have app-enabled phones? As in, most people still use
You're
feature
right.
phones. We have like, I don't want to say the wrong value, but about 70-something percentage of Nigerians still use feature phones that don't use app. So what are we talking about? We are still really, really far. So we can't say that 60 or 70-something percent of people that are using feature phone should buy apps. And then is it Yaloja that wants to buy app?
Because talking of app, actually, so we're talking about the compatibility of the phone.
Of the phone,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you
so the
see,
solution is not the app.
the organizer down my street that would decide to buy a app when he can buy bread and beans that will sustain him for the rest of the day. So for the app, I don't think that we are there yet.
Okay.
Okay, but for
Just
those
to
that
buttress what Stephen,
but for those that can afford the app, I think there are apps that do that.
my
So
brother, I can
the
afford the app, but I don't think I will buy app. So let the spam be spamming.
me I me I
Just for
pay
me
I
to
me
ignore.
I pay for Truecaller every month
Okay,
just to
well,
block
yeah,
spam.
True color. Okay, yeah. Apart from True color,
Truecaller does
I think almost
effective
every
spam
enlightened
blocking for
people
me.
now have
So I'm
True
not
color.
Okay.
advertising
For
them.
some
I pay.
enlightened people, self, they use True color in terms of they'll see, oh, I don't know this name, I'm not picking up. But there's
And
risk to that
it
too.
does spam
There's also
blocking.
risk to that. For example, an employer might see your profile on LinkedIn. Some people put their phone numbers on LinkedIn and tries to call, but because you don't know the number, you don't want to pick it. There are advantages and there are pros and cons to these things
Yeah.
also. So
You just have to weigh the benefits and then
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly. For each
exactly.
person. For each person. But there are different levels of technology implementation to help prevent spam. Some at the telco level, some at the consumer level. So, but there are options. It's a matter of which one will work for you. I'm trying to keep us within 1 hour time limit, so to make sure that next time we call you guys, then you will come and listen because you know it's going to be succinct. And what I want to do is I want to give each of us like just 1 minute or 30 seconds to just say, what our company does. So, just some, I'll say free marketing to the consumers that are on this channel. If you can just tell us the kind of like the main objective of your company so that, others on the call know kind of why, or know the background that you're bringing into this conversation as well. Muturaya, you can start, then Razak, then we'll have a Virtue finish up for Core. You're on mute. You're on mute, Muturaya.
Okay,
There
so
you go.
Motoraya Dewoye from ICEL, we are aggregators. I know that at first when the aggregators came, everybody was against the aggregators, but we are your friends. All we want to do is try and give you more revenue that you're not getting before, and try to support you. I don't know what other aggregators do. They are also trying to help, but I will speak for ICEL. ICEL would not just be an aggregator to just be a box in there. We want to support you in terms of the operations that you do, ideas that you bring on board. We brainstorm together till launch. And I want to say we pride ourselves in saying that we are not just there to be there. It's not just a transaction. We want to have a relationship with you. And so far it has worked for us. It would be nice to work with you more. Apart from, thank you for organizing such a very enlightening summit like this. And I hope that there's more of it. And thank you, operator guys. Yeah, SPs, other friends in the aggregator, they are not competitors, they are my friends. So
All right, no problem.
pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Razak?
All right. Thank you very much. I represent Digital Tech. Just like you rightly said, I'm an independent consultant to Digital Tech. So I'll tell you what Digital Tech does. Is a vast provider, and there are a lot of IT solutions that Digital Tech offer, queue management system, a lot of IT solutions like that, most especially in the area of cybersecurity and data protection. So, which is where you have things like vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, which means that you have an organization, you're building an application, and you want us to come and hack that application and tell you where the weaknesses are before a real-time attacker comes and hack you. So we do stuff like that, and we also sell our cybersecurity solution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Razak.
Now.
Hold on. We get a percentage of this deal.
We're trying to say you have a deal.
She would like to speak with you after this, after the chat.
Let's talk after now.
All right, no problem.
But remember, Core gets a percentage of whatever deal that happens. So we're the ones that brought you together, we're the aggregator in this case.
That's fine.
All right, Virtue and then Stephen, or Stephen and Virtue, either way.
All right, so I represent Core Software System. We're privileged to be the host of this event. It's an ongoing event, that we started earlier this year. We've done the first, sometime in the first quarter. So this is the second we are doing. And for Core, we actually a platform provider. So we pride ourselves in providing platforms that help businesses to, really become much more efficient. Now we have a platform that is specifically for service providers and the aggregators. We actually call it the Core platform. So that platform helps service providers to manage their services and also route their services appropriately to their recipients. The same platform also is able to help aggregators also manage the services that they have, the integration they need to make with telcos and also integrations they need to have with the service providers that are serving. So we actually provide a platform that will help both service providers and aggregators manage the services that they have to deliver efficiently to the recipients, to the end users that they have. So also in addition to the platform for service providers, we also have a data platform that offers both aggregators and service providers relevant data that will help them to deliver efficiently. So I know earlier when Razak was talking, I think the first response he was giving to the question, he had mentioned mobile number portability. So in routing messages, mobile number portability is a very, very important data that you need to ensure that you deliver efficiently to the customer. So we help to tell you the current networking number it's on so that you can deliver efficiently to them. So that's one of the data that we provide in our data platform. We also have other forms of data such as DND. We also have fraud-related data like SynSwell, helping you to also prevent fraudulent information that can be coming. So these are some kind of data that we have. In addition to our data, we also make room for monetization of data. So let's say, for instance, maybe Motora, the company, you have certain data that you feel that is relevant that some businesses will need on our platform. We can talk and partner with you to make that data available to businesses that need it, which also forms a form of revenue for you. Goes as well to all our attendees. So even though you have the relevant data that you're looking to see how you can offer that, you want to make money out of it, you can talk to us. We can look at it and see how we can make that data available and of course help you generate revenue from that data. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stephen, is there anything else to add before we call on Joyce to close us out?
Okay, just in addition to what Virtue mentioned, I would not want to bore us with that. Within the space of 30 minutes, I've just received about 5 messages I consider to be spam, and it's an issue that we've come to know already. So now Core is also in the business of making further research in the industry to make sure that we assist all industry players towards providing effective or maybe good services out there that once users or subscribers see, they don't really have to consider as spam like we are discussing today. So we will still further, which is part of our efforts in the research, providing the best solution out there, especially as it has to do with the industry we are looking at. So it's something we still need to consider as well. And then once we provide this, we hope that every measure that we bring, like the sender ID solution, and then the DND and how it can be effectively managed, we hope the industry can also consider our plans towards ensuring that this is better, driven. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Stephen.
Okay, Uche, just a direct advice and word of message to you. I see that you guys deal with a lot of data, so NDPR complier and all of that.
So sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Say it again.
I said that you guys deal in a lot of data, like
yes,
marketing and all of that. So NDPR complier and data protection regulation should be top notch for you.
Oh yeah, it already is.
For you.
Okay. No problem. We're already in that process actually, but we'll definitely follow up with you guys as well. All right. So thank you, everyone. Actually, we have our representative of our sales units who would like to thank the panel members and the guests for attending. Joyce, can you take it over, please?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. I really appreciate your time and your patience in joining this meeting. And I believe this is our second, just like they said, this is our second event for the year on this SMS spamming. And I believe you've learned one or two things that will help you in your businesses and work of place. And I also want to tell you, for further inquiries, if you have major concerns or want to ask more questions, you can also always reach out to us at sales@cortech.com, and be rest assured that our team are always available to engage and support you at any time. Once again, thank you for your time and patience, and do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. And that's sales@coure-tech.com. All right, hopefully we'll hear from you guys again. And please look out for our next summit events coming up next quarter, beginning of the next quarter. All right, then thank you very much, everyone. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.